What is up, Fanatics? It's 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means another episode of Home Theater Fanatics Live. Tonight is episode 114, and we have an amazing, it's not great. Usually I say we have a great episode for you, but we've got an extra awesome, amazing super sauce episode for you tonight because, you know, this channel is all about home theater, and what we're going to talk about tonight is how to make your home theater better than you ever thought your home theater could be. And that, I mean, that's what madVR, and specifically madVR Envy, does for you. And to that end, we've got Rick and Howard from madVR with us tonight. Welcome, guys. How are you doing?
Hey, we're doing great.
Hey, we're doing great.
Man, I'm just like I don't know. I feel like I've got the, have you ever seen like the pictures or the video when the Beatles get off the airplane and you have the people in the crowd passing out from excitement?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's kind of weird, but that's what I feel like right now. I mean, it's just like
that's really kind of you, Giles. Thanks for having us.
I mean, this is one of those technologies that I really think is kind of a game changer, and I mean, it really changes things up a lot. And I remember when I first saw you guys back in 2019, it was cool, but you know, there's been a lot of transformation since then, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, maybe we can start out with some introductions so you can tell everybody who you are. Maybe Howard, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm Howard Leibowitz, and Global Sales Director. So since we're worldwide, you know, we do a lot of selling all over the world.
So if you guys don't make your numbers, you're the one everybody comes down on, like, Howard, what's up? Okay.
Correct.
I got it.
Yeah, totally responsible for that.
For all the every
I know. I got nobody to dish anything out on, you know, it's just me.
Right on. And Rick, welcome. What about you?
Hey, thanks. I'm Rick Latofsky. I'm the co-founder and CEO of madVR Labs.
Ooh, the CEO, man.
With my co-founder, Matthias Rowan. He's known kind of around the world as Madshi. He's out in Germany, sound asleep right now.
Right on. Cool. So, you know, let's I guess, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we need to cover tonight, but let's start with the foundations, right? And, you know, what was madVR back in the day, right? You know, back when a brother was young, back in the day, and then what are you now? So how did things get started? And because I know, but I think it's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Thanks for asking. I think it's a pretty cool story too. You know, the company got founded because I had a crazy home theater project. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that project, and it came out really nice. And but I was frustrated with the video, HDR in particular. Looking around the market, I thought there were some choices, but I had other ideas in mind for something else that we could do. And so I reached out to Matthias, like I said, known as Madshi, and madVR. I've been aware of madVR and the reputation for, you know, being just an outstanding video renderer. And I reached out to him, and we just started changing ideas. And I said, hey, you know, why don't we productize this? And he had always dreamed of hopefully doing that one day. And so we just came together. I said, I'll run the business side. You keep doing what you're doing with all your technical genius. And then let's build a very simple, easy to use box that is highly intuitive, that you could just take it, install it in 5 minutes, push a button and be done, and not have to worry about the intricacies, and not have to worry about, you know, being a technical wizard to figure out everything.
Right on. So that kind of transformed the freeware, or I guess the original madVR, which people can still go download today and install on a home theater PC and figure out, right, and install, and it does wonders. I mean, it's an amazing tool, but this is kind of that on steroids put into a platform that, you know, is pretty easy to implement and makes, I mean, you know, I don't know how to quantize the difference, you know, a 50% improvement, but it changes the game for what you see on your screen for, I think, anybody that would install this. So does that sound right? Though it's kind of like, so the madVR Envy, and there what, 2 versions? Is that right?
Yeah, there's an extreme and a pro version. And,
okay,
and
cool.
You're exactly right. Seeing those differences is really an eye opener.
Right on. Well, let's take a quick pause here and say hi to a few of the folks that are out there. Keeping up with the Joneses says he loves Maggie, and who doesn't? We all do. The guy's a genius. Mad Piranha, welcome. He is a mainstay at the show with us every week. I love to see him here. So thanks so much for joining in today. Joey Peacock coming in from Accurus World, and I got to give Accurus a shout out. I run the Act 4, and their stuff is just outstanding. I love it. And when I installed their processor, that was a game changer too. Oh gosh, so good. Matt over at Brolic, I'm never sure, is it Brolic or Brolic? Brolic, and he says, "Hey Rick." So maybe Matt. Super good guy. Les says, "Hey guys, what's up, man? Big L. You got to put a picture up, dude. Come on, let's get some pictures in here." Hi-Fi Haven, another mainstay of the show, coming in from Colorado with us. So good to see you as well. And Jamie Blair also in the house. What's up, Jamie? First time watching. Oh, everybody, let's get. I gotta here. I'll do a sound effect for this one. Let me find one. What's a good sound effect? Let's do. I don't. No, not that one. Yeah. Welcome, Jamie. Yeah. Thanks for watching. And we'll get some more comments so Matt's your husband, right on. So if you guys don't know Matt, this dude is super cool. He's all about home theater, but he's got this weight set, and dude, his biceps are like
huge.
I mean, they're like, I mean, dang, it's cool. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so enough of all that. We'll get back to everybody here in a bit, but. So we talked a little bit about the history, but let's talk about the Envy and what is the Envy going to do for people, and kind of, what the key features are and that kind of thing. And this is a first for the show, but we've got slides. Oh, I've never done slides before in the show. But we got them.
Yeah, you might as well. It provides some good talking points. So.
Well, you know what? Maybe before we do the slides, let's just show the box, if you don't mind. So if you've got an image of what that looks like. So while Rick is pulling that up, this is a component, and you'd put this in your rack or wherever you have your equipment at. And, it's big and black and square. So it fits right in with everything. And then on the back, there's basically a HDMI in and a HDMI out, right?
That's right.
And this would install, I guess, between your processor and then your video display.
Right.
Is that right?
Last thing in the chain before your display.
Okay, yep. Awesome. So, whatever your sources are, so this works with all sources, right? Because it's just whatever you're sending to your screen, doesn't matter. It could be a Blu-ray player, it could be a Kaleidoscape, it could be Plex, it could be, I don't know, a webcam plugged into a computer. It could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Man, right. I wonder if it can fix my face. Probably not. And it looks like a kind of a PC architecture, like a Trinov or similar, right?
Yeah, but you got it. So you've got, as you can see here, you've got your input, your output, and a zero latency pass-through. And
right
so
on.
Your installation is literally plug it in, take the feed, go into your display, and send it into the Envy. Take the output here, send that to your display. Come over here and push this button, and
nice.
You're done. That's your whole setup.
That seems pretty easy.
Yeah.
Now there's got to be a catch.
Everyone says that, but when you try it, you'll be like, "Oh my God, it really is that easy."
That's cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's get back to the world first set of slides so we can talk through this stuff. And I think this is a good idea because this thing does so much more than what I was aware of. And I was like, okay, it's going to do, it'll do upscaling, and it'll take the picture and fix all of the bad stuff that's coming across. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But man, no, it does. We had to talk about them. So maybe we could just start left to right and dig through it.
Oh yeah, sure. So these are kind of the main features and functions of the product. HDR dynamic tone mapping is really one of the biggest, of course. Matthias, my partner, pioneered dynamic tone mapping. He was doing dynamic tone mapping before anyone else, before it was really even a term per se. So, we're processing at 4K 60, for example. We're looking at nearly 500 million pixels per second, every second. Our company tagline literally is every pixel counts. So you're talking to, pure perfectionists, sometimes, a little bit to our own peril. We might spend a little bit more time than other people might, just obsessing on all these little details. But in the end, we think that it shows up in the end result with the product. So every one of these pixels, we're looking at each pixel. We're trying to figure out, what do we do with this pixel? Do we make it brighter? Do we make it darker? Do we change the hue? Do we change the saturation? Do we leave it alone? And we're doing that based on that pixel and all the surrounding pixels and all those pixels surrounding pixels. So
now, are you doing that in time as well with like a look forward or something like that?
Yeah, we are looking forward, several frames so that we don't get caught with any surprises. It allows us to really kind of get the biggest dynamic range without having any visual artifacts that would happen otherwise if you're just caught by surprise with a quick scene change or something like that.
Right on. So to kind of put this in terms that people might be familiar with, if they've not seen tone mapping, or maybe they don't know that they have and they have seen it, I think probably at this point the most common product out there from like a big box store that you would see with tone mapping is something like the Panasonic 4K Blu-ray disc players, and they have a kind of version of HDR tone mapping. Now you guys are like that plus steroids, lots of shots and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? But yeah, that's kind of the thing that it's going through, doing similar.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things that makes our product so simple is there's really only one parameter you need to put in, which is the peak brightness of your display. And everything from there is color science. So you tell us that you've got 100 nits or 250 nits or 35 nits, and we'll render every scene as perfectly as we possibly can, given, obviously there's some challenges if you're doing something really super low nits. But if you want, it might make sense we could flip through a couple of the HDR, before and after kind of examples.
Oh yeah, let's show it. Yeah, no, I think that'd be great.
And we can kind of come back to this after just taking a quick look at that.
Yeah, and then a question that we can think about while we're going through this, is tone mapping the same thing as image processing, and what's the difference in those terms?
Well, yeah, image processing, you think it's kind of the general umbrella, right? I mean, as an image processor, you're always processing the image to a certain extent. The question is, what are you doing to it? Are you upscaling it? Are you tone mapping it? Are you doing some form of artifact reduction, like reducing noise, or doing debanding or de-ringing, cleaning up signals, that type of stuff? So HDR is a specific form, or tone mapping, I should say, is a specific form of image processing.
Gotcha.
So, like, for example, what you can see here, this is a common type of challenge that a lot of HDR renderers have. You can see the bottom right picture is what this sphere is supposed to look like. Sometimes you'll get a color error. So you may not, if you're watching a movie, you may not even notice necessarily that this is not correct. But you'll see like bright greens get pushed to yellows, oranges get pushed to reds, violets get pushed to blues. So you do not necessarily wind up with true colors in that sense. Or sometimes the general color category is correct. You can see here you got green, but you wind up with a big blob. It's overblown. You lose a lot of the detail, that type of stuff.
And just for everybody out there that's watching, Rick is pretty much describing my experience with my system now. so if I feel, if I'm acting a little self-conscious, this is me being like, oh God, never knew. Ooh, it's so bad over here. But and also 1,000 bonus points to anybody who can identify the movie that this spear comes from. So maybe we'll see if some folks can figure that out. But no, I mean, what everything that you just called out, this is stuff that I see more than I want to. So you're not like, you've got like a nearly perfect picture and we just do a little tiny tweak. I mean, this is kind of common big stuff that is obvious when you see the difference. This isn't like a small change. This is like a big difference.
Yeah, especially when you are talking about, a beautiful 4K lens on these projectors these days, and a big screen. You got a 10-foot, 12-foot, 15-foot screen. And these differences in upscaling and tone mapping and these details really get magnified, right? Because we're looking at things in these tiny little images right now.
Right.
You know, 1080p, right? Streamed over the internet. So imagine these differences really blowing up on the big screen.
Right on. And, you know, since this is, you know, a component that you'd put into your highest quality home theater, I mean, this is going to be pumping out the best 4K picture that you can feed into it, right? So, yeah, I mean, this, and you know, like you said, blown up to 150 inches, 175 inches. That's, yeah, man, it just gets crazy. Another question to keep in mind as we start going through stuff, and I think we'll get to this in a bit, but, you know, Dolby Vision, BT 2020, HLG 444, and that kind of stuff, in case there aren't slides for it. But if there are, we can pick that up as we're chatting.
Sure. So should we discuss this slide real quick?
Yeah. This one I think is super key, because this I see on a lot of systems out there.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just kind of see here. I mean, you don't even need boxes really to highlight what's going on, right? But I mean, look at the difference in clarity that comes out from here and in the street compared to the haze. And you can just see the overall haze and blown out aspect of this whole image. I mean, look at the trim around the headlights is completely blown out. The subtlety that's supposed to be this nice pale yellow is now really kind of faded and washed out. And there's several different layers happening in our dynamic tone mapping. We have nearly a dozen patents that are pending. This is one of our couple of these things combining here, but in particular, our contrast recovery is also really helping to, you know, make the contrast and image really kind of stand out, add to that dimensionality that you can see here as well.
Awesome. I mean, that's massive.
Here's another example that's very common. And by the way, this image is off the Spears and Munsell HDR benchmark disc. If you have this disc, you know, I'd encourage you know, all the audience members to play this on their system and see what it looks like. Chances are, you know, you will see something around this, depending on what display that you have. There's some displays that you will see a horse against a white background like this. So again, this is just another example of the challenges that a lot of HDR in a scene can have on a projector and its algorithm. And if you look over here too, this is just another example. This one is our highlight recovery. Highlight recovery is a really cool feature that needs a lot of GPU power to really be able to do this. But you can see all the detail in the water in this splash. It's just,
I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, just in that little tiny square, it looks so much better.
It's unbelievable. I mean, look at all down here. It's just washed, you know, washed over. And there's technical explanations for how this works. I won't go into it now just because of time constraints. But, you know, we get two common questions on this slide. One is, wow, that's an amazing sharpening filter. Like, how do you guys do that as a sharpening filter? And that really would be an amazing sharpening filter if it was a sharpening filter.
Right.
But as you could see, I mean, it would be really impossible to sharpen this to get to this.
Right.
And the other thing that we get is, are you guys somehow using some sort of magic to make it look like it should look, even though that's not how it looks? That would be really cool. We probably have some great military applications for that.
Sure.
But we're not doing that either. All that we're really doing is preventing the loss of detail in the bright highlights. And there's usually a seesaw here. If you really wanted to get an HDR image without an NV that looked closer to this, you could begin to approach this by lowering the HDR level of brightness,
right,
and giving yourself a lot more headroom. What we're able to do at highlight recovery is keep that huge dynamic range, so it's just as bright as you can see. You're not giving up any brightness, but you pick up all that extra detail.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm kind of speechless, because all I've got to say is I can't wait for CEDIA this year. And I hope you guys have as many of these units as you can in the hands of folks at CEDIA, so they can show it in their demos. And because I'll watch it over and over, and I want to go to all the different rooms and see this. And just so everybody knows, you guys will be there, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh yes.
We already have all our travel arrangements in place.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna get a room here pretty soon, but that's one I can't miss. And I know Joey. Well, I hope Joey will be there. His headquarters is there, but I think he might be based out of Florida or something down in the south. But he also has another question. And I know there are slides around there. He says, let's talk about availability, chip shortage, if that's impacting you guys. And then I think he had another technical question somewhere. Aspect ratio stuff that we'll be getting to here in just a second.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we are holding strong with our product availability. It's been pretty wild. We were really dealing with a lot of growth that we're still kind of trying to get our arms around. Some interesting developments and making units as fast as we possibly can. But our lead times are generally pretty small right now. Like in terms of we're getting units out typically in about 2 to 3 weeks turnaround time.
Oh, nice.
So, GPU availability is challenging, but we've managed to cruise on those waters. And so as far as this question about the aspect ratio control, if we could, why don't we go back to our features, briefly talk about a couple of these, and we can address Joey's question as we get through that, if that was
awesome.
good.
Awesome.
Just a 4K upscaling and sharpening. We have, again, we use a lot of AI-based proprietary algorithms. So that basically is a fancy way of saying there's machine learning and computer training that is able to go into creating these algorithms. So if we go here to some examples of our upscaling, you could just kind of see here, like without the envy, this is a 1080p upscale to 4K. You can just see how much cleaner these lines are. The license plate is sharper. The lines in the back window are much cleaner. Even like the tail light is just more in focus. In fact, the whole back trunk.
Oh yeah, dude, it's outstanding.
Looks cleaner. This is another one here where if you look, it's kind of hard to see on a smaller scale, but there's a lot of stair stepping going on in the spikes on the spokes on this wheel, and as opposed to like nice and sharp here. If you look even way back here in the distance, how nice and tight and sharp these windows are back here compared to there. So that just kind of gives you an idea of kind of what that is. And then I'll go back to, I believe it was Joey's question, auto aspect ratio control. I like to call this our sleeper function. And what I mean by that is that it's the type of thing that no one necessarily buys an MV for, but once they have one and see how it works and understand it, they fall in love with it, and it becomes one of their favorite features of the product. Auto aspect ratio control, for those not familiar with it, if you have a scope screen, you're dealing with black bars. Someone had mentioned, hey, how do you deal with movies that change back and forth between aspect ratio? So we constantly know where the black bars are. We deliver a constant image height solution. So if you have a scope screen, it's very easy. I like to say you train Envy on what your screen is, but that would be making it sound a lot fancier than what it is. You just move, there's a dot, and you move it down and say, hey, this is where my picture is, and then you move the other one up, so that you're basically just kind of teaching Envy on the screen, like, hey, move these points until your screen fills your frame. And then we know what your aspect ratio is. We know what pixels you can see.
Oh, that's cool.
And we map everything out on constant image height. So when you're watching something like an IMAX movie, like one of the Nolan movies, for example, and it's going back and forth between aspect ratios, it constantly fills that screen. Because otherwise, if you tuned out for 240 and it switches to a 16:9, now you're on the ceiling and you're on the floor, right? So you're reaching for the remote, you're using lens memory to kind of go back down. And then sometimes you say, oh, this is too much trouble. I'll just watch the whole thing at the 16:9 size. But then, a good portion of the movie you're watching with,
it's all tiny.
Whole window box.
Yeah. And so for me, And to make it real for folks that use the same kind of setup that I do, I'm doing fixed A lens on a scope screen, and it's gorgeous. I mean, when you don't have a movie that changes aspect ratio, and you go through and you get everything set correctly, it's great. But when you start changing sources and you start getting into different aspect ratios, it becomes, gosh, I guess it's a good problem to have, but it's super annoying. It's just super annoying. And I've been looking for the right kind of solution, and there are only a couple of games in town to kind of figure that out. And I really like the story that you're telling around how you set yours up. And I mean, it's easy. I mean, you just say this is what I've got, do it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everything, like, even if you look at kind of, our remote control, right? Everything that we do is rooted in simplicity, so we have a lot of complexity under the hood, but we shelter you from that. We give you access to all the controls and bells and whistles you want to get down in the weeds and customize the look and change parameters. And, even that's done at a high level. You're not changing something to -37 and something to +4. You're picking medium strength or high strength or turning something off. So we provide you with those, all those different options. But the aspect ratio control, other things that we do that's unique to our product is we have a whole subtitle management. If you've ever watched a scope movie with subtitles in the black bars, you can't see them because they're off the screen. We will actually bring back just enough of the black bars for you to be able to see the subtitles and keep them around for as long as you want. Some people say, keep it, once you see subtitles, keep that distance there for the whole rest of the movie. Some people say, get rid of it after 5 seconds and no dialogue, or a minute or 3 minutes, whatever it is. So whether it's top, bottom, whatever it is, we're automatically adjusting it.
So if subtitles are coming, so how does that work then? So, if you got your screen and then you need to squeeze it down a little bit to get the subtitle to come up from the bottom. Is that a look ahead, like 5 frames, and you're like, okay, I need to start, and then it slowly squeezes in, and then when it's done, after your timer, it'll slowly squeeze out to try and make it not so obvious? Or?
Oh no, it's not.
Or is it pop, pop, pop?
Yeah, well, it's pop, but not pop, 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 right? Because what we do is we give you control where we say it's called stickiness. So we have a bottom bar stickiness and a top bar stickiness. They're separate settings. So you can tell us, hey, if you see a subtitle, I want you to display it. And then once they're done talking, keep it at that aspect ratio for 1 minute or 3 minutes or to the end of the movie. So you don't have it going in and out.
Gotcha.
So it comes in. And the other cool thing is we don't bring back the whole window frame, right? We just bring back just the bare minimum to fit that subtitle. So if it's a 1-line subtitle, we bring back this much. If it's a 2-line subtitle, we bring back this much. Okay, so we're dynamically controlling all aspects of it.
So here's a good question. So, after you've told the NV what you've got and you're playing some content, how long does it take for the NV to realize that you're showing something with some bars that need to be dealt with somehow?
Yeah, so our aspect ratio detection is instant. NV knows instantly where the black bars are, what's there, even things like on-screen display elements. That's another great thing about this black bar ratio, black bar detection. It's not really just for subtitles. So, for example, if I'm watching Apple TV and I pause it and I'm zoomed out, I won't see that pause bar. I don't know how much time is left in the movie.
That's super painful. I hate that.
So we will bring back just enough to fit the pause bar.
Oh my God.
When the pause bar is gone,
take my money. Just take it all. Just take my money.
Right.
I swear. Yeah. That's awesome.
And then just to kind of keep moving, because I want to be conscious of the time of everybody today.
Sure.
Calibration, very simple. We support all the 3D LUT software. One unique thing about NV is we internally have a 256-point 3D LUT, which is about 16.7 million colors of accuracy, points of adjustment that we interpolate.
Somebody's got a hot rod over there. I mean that sounded like a drag race machine or something.
Indianapolis Speedway.
So right down the street there.
We're able to, so instead of having like a 17-point cube, which is about 4,900 points, you have 16.7 million points. And the other key highlight is how easy the MV is to set up, to use, to operate. You don't, need to bring in a specialist to set it up or to spend weeks, learning all the details of it. I can show you, like, for example, this is what our user interface looks like.
Yeah. So I've had a number of people ask, what does the UI look like? I mean, how are settings done? So if we could spend a few minutes on that, I think that'd be super valuable.
Yeah. No, that's great. As you can see here, this is an example from our display configuration menu. And what also is really nice is we have a lot of on-screen help. So this can be toggled on and off when you become very used to the product and everything it can do. But as you move through here, this is context sensitive, and it tells you what these things are, how you might want to set it, why you may want to change it, what's typically the right setting. Sometimes it says something almost to the point of, don't touch this unless you know what you're doing. And other times we will say, like, feel free, experiment. There's no right or wrong answer. So it's context sensitive help too. Some options have different colored buttons. So, you can make changes and save them to different profiles. So down in this row here, you'll see different buttons show up, like, green might mean save this profile to your base, and red might mean delete this profile. So we have an entire profile system as well. You can see these base markers. This means that these settings are running from the base layer. These are your kind of global settings. And then you can make changes and then save those changes in the profiles. It kind of goes layers deep.
That's cool.
I think I see here Joey had a question about the control systems.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. We support. We've got a full LAN port. We support IP automation through Crestron, Control 4, RTI. Those drivers are available from our website. We have Savant that's coming very soon. I've already seen an implementation of it, of the Savant drivers at one dealer installation already. So we support full automation. And Joey probably was talking about, the profiles might have kind of triggered that question in your mind. So, you could take Envy and you can set up Envy so that, hey, when I have the Kaleidoscape playing, these are my favorite settings. And when I have the Apple TV playing, these are my favorite settings. And then you could just tell, the Envy, like, hey, load my Kaleidoscape profile, and tell the AVR or AVP, hey, go show my Kaleidoscape source. So, everything is fully automated. We also have, for really this is something that helps dealers out a lot as well. We have the ability for you to clone an MV. So, for example, a dealer that is setting up typically finds themselves maybe creating the same profiles for each of their installations. You're able to just duplicate that entire profile, and before you go out to a job site or even on the site in 30 seconds, just upload the entire profile, right to the Envy. So kind of like a, your own factory default version out of the box, if you will.
That's super cool. And what kind of brings this home for me is I'm a very hands-on kind of guy. And I was sad to hear of the demise, or the slow demise of one of the more popular hands-on remote control tools out there. So Logitech is going to sunset new Harmony equipment. So I might have to go into the dealer ecosystem for a control system, unless I can figure out how to get Control 4 to let me program my own stuff. But so I think that's really a key feature. And I think for folks that are probably looking at equipment at kind of this level, the control system becomes a very central part to the whole setup, right? Because when you're you're using like a AVP, like the Act 4 from Acurus that Joey works for, and then you've got a Kaleidoscape, and then you've got an Envy. This is all IP based control. You going with a Control 4 or similar is awesome, right? Because that gives you an experience. I mean, really, for me, that would be my whole chain. I think if I could buy all of my content from Kaleidoscape, that's how I'd want to do it. Just Kaleidoscape into the Act 4, into you guys, into the projector. And I mean, that's happiness, as happy as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, now if I could get Kaleidoscape, you guys, and Acurus to just put all your stuff into one box. $80,000 one box. Let's do this thing. Let's take a second and see if there are folks that I haven't called out yet. Double A has joined us. Glad to see you here on the show again. Double A, Kevin from GSG Audio. If you guys like subwoofers, Kevin knows subwoofers, located in Southern California, but the equipment that he builds can be felt all the way to the East Coast. I just made that up, man. I'm on a roll. Some people asking questions about, the Oppo players and some of the other technology that I think would pull subtitles that aren't burned in, and be able to move that stuff around. And I think the subs that you guys were talking about are stuff that's like burned into the screen, right? So you can slide that around to get it on screen. For that stuff that's not burned in, for maybe closed captioning, do you guys do anything with that stuff?
Well, the closed captioning stuff will work just like a black bar detection. I mean, we'll see that there's content there, and we'll shrink it down to be able to bring that back up if it's in the area that's not already inside the screen.
Gotcha. Right on. Very cool. Who else we got? Oh, we got Herman coming in from China, and I'm very happy to have you here, Herman. He's building a theater, and we've been chatting about this over time as he builds. And like when I say he's building a theater, it's like the whole house is like coming up from the ground, and he's been putting stuff together. And one thing that we haven't really talked about a lot is an additional video processor on top of what he's looking at. And man, all I can say is that, do you guys sell in China? And if
we can put you in touch with our distribution partners.
There you go. Take a trip somewhere and see one of these if you can. I think it might be worth your time as to consider this down the line for some upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, we're in 22 different countries right now.
Oh, nice, dude!
Our first year, yeah, it's been pretty wild.
You guys have done a great job taking this brand and really getting it out there. I mean,
thank you.
That's a job super well done. Easy HT Tech. So welcome to the show. Love to see Easy HT Tech here with us today. Anybody else? Horizon Home Theater. Thanks so much for the $5. This is my paycheck for the week, so I appreciate it. And then, okay, so let's talk about some of the hard questions, and some of the stuff it's kind of hard to talk about, but one is always the price, and some answers are talk to your dealer, right, and they'll give you a price, and then some folks will say, well, it's in this price range. Or do you guys have an MSRP for this stuff that you can talk about?
Yeah, we do, and it's not really so much of a hard question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the MSRP on the madVR Envy Extreme is $13,500, and the Pro is $8,000.
So what's the difference between the Pro and the Extreme?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask that. The main difference is that you have a much more horsepower GPU power in the Extreme. So the Extreme can run more algorithms simultaneously. So, for example, we've talked about a lot of different things today, right? So I don't know if we got into the details, but we have highlight recovery, contrast recovery, shadow detail recovery. That's all part of the dynamic tone mapping system. You've got upscaling, different levels of chroma upscaling, luma upscaling. I mean, there's so much going on under the hood. So the Extreme can run more algorithms at the same time and at higher strength levels. So that's a big difference. There's also things such as feature differences. So, for example, we have just rolled out our our geometry control. And by the way, we should
we totally have to talk about that, because that blows my mind. I love it.
Yeah, we should do that. So so for example, in our extreme, we have the geometry control. That's great for fixing A-lens, barrel distortion. If you're doing anything with curved screens, a lot of people may not want to use curved screens because of the challenges that come along with making the image look perfect due to the warping that can occur.
I was just talking with Matt about the curved screen and Seymour screens, and they've got some cool stuff. But when you get up into like the curved auto masking stuff, it's like expensive. and it's big, right? I mean, they have to send, it's massive because they're coming off the wall like that far to give you the curve. And I can't imagine a theater without an A-lens at this point. I'm all in, right? And I get a little bit of so sometimes you get barrel, which is like this on the sides, and then sometimes you get the stuff on the bottom where it curves up a little bit on the top. That's what I get a little bit of right now. And will your distortion correction fix all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, you want to take a look at an example of that?
Oh, absolutely. Because I hate that stuff. I mean, it bugs me because I have to zoom in just a little bit because it's the tails kind of come down on the screen, and I hate it. And then it's not exactly the same on the top and the bottom for me. I could tweak that somehow, but man, a tool like this would be okay. So I can see the barrel distortion in that one.
Yeah. So if you look here, you can kind of see. If people are not familiar, if you don't have an A-lens, now this particular installation, it's, I would say, not really a strong amount of barrel distortion, but you can see you don't have a straight line here or here. And you can see how it kind of bows into the middle. And it's hard to see on this because of where the frame is, but it's also bows along the bottom. So with our new geometry control, if I move over to corrected, you can kind of see how it straightens all that up.
Yeah.
So if you move here, as I go back and forth, you can see. And the interesting thing is, I had gone into this thinking that this feature was going to allow people to, straighten out the edges. Because right now, what people that have A lenses need to do is they zoom for overscan. Right. Depending on how close the throw distance is, it's how much overscan they may need to zoom and the degree of the barrel distortion. So in this case, like I said, it's pretty light, but you can see even in this case, it's still there. But the one thing that kind of surprised me too is just the geometry aspect of it as well. Like as I go back and forth, you could almost see, like especially near the edges, that the image just gets straighter in general. Like
it's not just edge geometry; it's like across the whole image.
Right, like you don't really notice it without it, but it actually looks slightly stretched in a sense,
right?
Due to that barrel distortion here. At least that's kind of how my eyes see it. And so, one of the things that we think is going to be really interesting with having geometry control is that it may open up people's eyes and desire to go towards curved screens, because I think it's been a kind of a challenge, without it. And so now all of a sudden you have these tools to handle aspect ratio and to handle curve. And then, wow, so now we could do a curved screen and then not have to worry about, how tickers look running across the bottom and, all these other types of things that kind of go with it.
Yeah. And that's a thing for me, because I get pin cushion, and if you have text that's at the extreme bottom of the screen for whatever reason, you get that rainbow bend effect a little bit, and I hate that. I love the lens, but I hate the distortion. Another killer app feature of this tool. I mean, that's amazing. So a couple more people in from Alcon's Audio. Pauline, welcome to the show. If you guys don't know Alcon's Audio, they make some of the best speakers, and I mean like concert level, humongous line arrays and that kind of stuff for theatrical production, outdoor concerts. But they also have a line for home theater. I mean, like super high-end home theater stuff, and it's just amazing. I hope that they'll be at Cedia too. Man, their stuff is just awesome. Let me see if anything else is here. I don't see anybody else. Somebody named Shh. Maybe they don't want me to talk about what they've got going on. Kellen's here. So bonus room. I think this is the company out of Texas. The name of their company has just lost me. But welcome, Kellen. Glad to have you on the show. Yeah, no, this episode for me is just outstanding. All right. So any other features to go over on that list?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk for hours. I think we hit kind of like the main points. At some point maybe we'll do a part 2 with the audience, and we'll go online. Totally. One of the cool things I didn't mention that this product does is it allows dealers to have remote access to the unit with the end user's permission. So you can actually go and operate it if you need help from your dealer. They can log in, they can help you with settings, they can see if you think something doesn't look right, they can see what it is without having to necessarily come on out to the job site. But one of the cool things is that we can also use that as for demos. So we're able to go remotely into live A/B and have some fun with it and do live A/B comparisons and show how the menus work in real time and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, no, I would love to have you guys back on and do a live demo inside of one of the boxes. And we can like, if you want to know about this, go watch the other episode first, and you'll know what's going on.
Right.
This one, we're gonna get into it, kind of neck deep. And Kellen, Dream Media. So yeah, I couldn't remember that and pull it back up. They do. Gosh, I think they do install work all over the country at this point. They're pretty prolific. Good stuff going on over there. So Pauline says, madVR, we're in the booth demo room at ISE in the Netherlands 2020. We love them. Oh, so there you go. Good times.
That was a lot of fun. Hey, Pauline.
Yep. How are you?
Small world, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Totally small.
Yeah, that was a great week.
So question about 2.1 upgrade, maybe. So I guess, is this a question for older units maybe that were out already, or?
Yeah, so the NV Extreme for a while now has been shipping with HDMI 2.1 output, and the NV Pro will be at some point getting an update to the HDMI 2.1 upgrade as well, especially at the point where it becomes a little bit more relevant. It's more relevant in the Extreme model right now because one thing I didn't mention that's also really unique for the NV is that in addition to supporting HDMI 2.1, we also do upscaling to 8K. We're the only video processor, external processor that does that as well. So the Extreme really has a need for that for those that are doing 8K displays. But that will be coming for sure to the Pro. It's still planned as we've discussed.
Yeah, JVC, if you guys are going to throw a 8K projector out there, hey, hi, how you doing? All right, so it's time to shift gears a little bit now, and we're going to take a trip down to a little place that I call Content Corner. Now, let's take a break and stroll down to a cozy little place I like to call Content Corner. This is where we talk about all the cool content we love to consume. And today, we're going to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Right. So, we do all this stuff and have all this cool technology, and we buy these processors and these projectors and screens. What do we do with them? We watch cool stuff. And man, I just watched all 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier with my kids. I got 2 boys, 12 and 9. And man, it's like I'm 12 years old again with them. And we watched this stuff. And I mean, you got flying Captain America. Now, I don't want to get into all this stuff. Maybe I'm going to spoil it for people, but I absolutely adored this series. I mean, it was good. They took on a lot of social questions as well. There was all the stuff in, from the mythology of the Marvel universe. They created some new mythology in there that was new, around the super soldier, kind of United States government stuff, the history that hadn't been talked about before. So I, thumbs up. I liked the previous series with the Scarlet Witch, right? It was good, but this is amazing. You know, if anybody else has seen this, you know, feel free to drop some comments in. But if you haven't, you've got to watch it. I mean, are you guys into this kind of stuff, or are you, you know, the Marvel universe kind of watchers and that kind of thing?
I've only watched 4 of them, so don't spoil it.
Oh man, I want to spoil it so bad.
No, it's
boring.
It's great. My son's really into that too. We watch a lot of that together.
Yeah, I try to always say that this is not a spoiler-free zone. When you're in this show, just be ready to be spoiled, but I won't talk about it.
I knew it.
But you know, I love the way they talk about this arc of, you know, what happened to Captain America and what the future of Captain America looks like. And, you know, they bring in you're in episode 4, so you know there's a new Captain America, right?
Yeah.
But you're in for a ride in these last 2 episodes. Let me just tell you right now, because you know your world is
very excited. Very excited.
But you know, without getting into the show too much, what I will say is that from a broad perspective, you know, I think that the shows that they're putting out now with these, you know, short runs, it's like they're producing a really long movie. Right? You know, it's like this is like the extended version of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, you know, and they chop it up into episodes, because this is kind of like a long 6-hour movie, or maybe 5 hours or whatever it is, you know, when you stick them all together. But they get to tell this long story arc, and the production value, the cast is, you know, at the level that you would see in a theatrical release, which I think is just absolutely stupendous. So I can't say enough about it. You know, there was also Mad Piranha calls out The Bad Batch is out today, May the 4th, which is Star Wars universe. And I think The Bad Batch is about a set of clones that weren't the way clones were supposed to be. So they ended up being, you know, the Bad Batch, but they ended up being good, I guess. I think that's the premise of the show. And I think they pull some characters.
Is it animated? Is that
no? This is live action, but I think they pull from some of the animated shows for characters and that kind of stuff. But I think, well, man, I could be wrong. I thought it was live action. Mad Piranha, maybe you can tell us is, you know, if this is live action or animated. I hope it's live action, but I'll watch it even if it's animated. I don't care. So I've seen the first 2 episodes. Mad Piranha, you got to catch up, man. I don't want to blow this out for you. But man, I want to talk about it. Okay, we got a question. You know, this is the $5 question of the hour. What projector are Rich and Howard using in their home theaters? They're gonna be like, we don't watch stuff. We just, I mean, I'm a sales guy.
I don't have.
Right now, I've got a Barco Bragi cinema.
Oh my God! You're killing me. Oh, God. If people don't know about the Barco stuff, this is like the bomb projector. I mean, it's got an A-lens built in. I have to add it. Well, I mean,
yeah, it's really sweet. It's a great combination with the MV2. I mean, those two are just.
That is, I'm so jealous over here. What do they call it? Green with envy. I wish I could do some tint change right now on my screen. I would just make the whole thing green. No, that's an outstanding setup, man. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, Easy HT Tech says, yeah, showing off that Barco. That's what you call a home theater flex, by the way. When somebody says, hey man, what kind of projector you got? If you start out with, you know, Barco, if that were, it's like going, no man, that is super cool. Yeah, so I agree with Jamie. Wow. That yeah. And you know you're in the right community when you say I've got a Barco projector and everybody's all like, oh my God, that's so cool, right? I love to be able to hang out with people that you know can have that kind of excitement about this kind of a piece of equipment. Yeah, so you know, stuff like this, that's yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Well done. So the other piece of content that I want to call out before I get over to you guys. So I'm going to ask you, so just be thinking right now what you're going to say, because I don't want to catch you too flat-footed. So what people might not know about me is that, you know, I love movies and that kind of stuff, but I think maybe my favorite genre of video entertainment is the, you know, what I used to call the 30-minute comedy, and they're really like 21 or 23 minutes or something. And I love these little short format shows like The Office and Parks and Rec and all that kind of stuff, right? But I just watched on, I think it's on HBO Max, Aquafina is Nora from Queens.
I saw that.
and oh my God, I'm so in love with it.
Funny.
Oh, I love her to death. She was on like Crazy Rich Asians or Crazy Rich, whatever.
Crazy Rich, that was
and I mean, just she's so funny, and that format that they used is great. And I don't if so, you remember the transitions? It'd be like the little animated things, and then they would have like the weird wonky music and stuff. I want to copy all of that and put it into all my videos. I mean, that is just it's so perfect what she's doing.
It's really funny.
The casting was just so spot on. Like the mother, I don't know what the actress's name is, but she is hilarious. I mean, it's crazy. So I highly recommend this. I mean, it's kind of an irreverent show. It's a little kind of off color and stuff, and so it's not. I wouldn't take your kids to watch it, but it's not like hardcore adult stuff either. But it's so funny. Anyway, enough about me. Let's start with Rich. You won. You get to go first. What have you been watching or listening to recently that people might find interesting?
So for me,
and don't say Home Theater Fanatics videos on YouTube. Everybody knows those are the best.
Well, first I will say that as you were talking, it was reminding me how cool is it that we're getting first run movies at home. I mean, I've been waiting for this forever.
Yes.
I mean, like your audience, everyone's really in home theater. That means that they love watching movies. A lot of people still love going to the movies, but there's nothing like watching stuff on your own setup. And so the big movies would always come out, and inevitably one or more family members would be like, gotta see it, it's here. And I'd be like, I'd rather just have that experience at home. But so we wind up going through it,
especially on the Barco.
You wind up buying it again.
You're never gonna live that down.
And so it's just great to have. So recently, as funny as it sounds, the new Godzilla movie was unbelievable in 4K HDR on HBO Max. I mean, just to be able to watch 4K HDR in Atmos at home,
streaming,
AV Nirvana, streaming, and just to have, and it looks so fantastic in 4K HDR too. And so just to be able to have that experience at home, whereas, a year ago, we wouldn't have that option. You'd be going to the theaters for that, and then you'd be waiting 3 more months to get it. So
I know the world has changed. I mean, the woes that we've gone through have been absolutely horrific, but if we get movies earlier, worth it? Well, probably not worth it, but at least there's a silver lining of sorts, in there. So, I'm very happy that there's a sea change going on around how movies are released, and what the studios feel like they need to or can do now to make things popular and successful. And it doesn't look like we're going to live in a world where it has to go to the big screen first. These concurrent releases, even if it's a premium rental on Kaleidoscape, I'm down. For the right movie, I'll rent it and then I'll buy it later too.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's just great to have access to them at home.
It totally is awesome.
First run. You're not waiting 3 months to see the new Star Wars movie.
That's right, and it even adds more value to all of this equipment that we buy and install, because in the past, I would go to the theater to watch a first run movie, right? Because that you have to wait 3 months to get it at home. But now you can enjoy your investment for some things day one, and I hope that expands to almost everything day one in the best possible quality that's available today. So no, I agree, man. That's a huge point. Absolutely. Howard, what are you watching, man?
Well, I got to tell you, last night
here it comes
on
Which
HBO
one?
Max, the movie Tenet.
Oh,
it was pretty good, man. I mean, I remember when it first came out, but I didn't really get it, and that's why I concentrated, because HBO Max, it's got some nice.
How many times have you watched it now?
I've watched it 3 times.
I think I need to go into a 5th. I am pretty good all the way up until the end.
Yeah.
When they had the big fight scene.
Easy now. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
God.
You got to go see it.
For that. Yeah.
You probably haven't seen Justice League Snyder Cut, have you? Oh,
that's the new one, the 4-hour one, right?
Yeah, the 4 hour.
Totally watched that with my daughter.
it's so worth it.
Yes.
So it's oh man, there's so much good stuff coming out. And then I have to plug Dune. Dune is coming out in November, I think it is, maybe October. I have to look at the list. But everybody get ready. I just bought the original version. Well, actually, I didn't buy it. A buddy of mine actually sent me a copy on Laserdisc, and I am so indebted to him. I hope he's watching, or one of his friends is watching. So I'm calling him out, and this is my public thanks to him. He totally hooked me up with the big silver platter. I mean, Laserdisc, it's awesome, and it's like a collector's item, and I think it's probably more valuable to me than other people because I'm a really big fan of the series, and I've read all the books and all the stuff, and so I'm super hyped. So I've got that. Actually, I bought a frame for it, and it's going up down in the theater. So thank you so much for that. I mean, that is super cool. And everybody's gotta watch that. You gotta watch the movies coming up soon, and that's I'm taking the day off from work, and yeah, that's good. All right. We're going to wind this down because we are 3 minutes over. Everybody's time is valuable, and we're going up into the cleanup section. So upcoming projects for Home Theater Fanatics, working on a Zapiti video. And this week's video, if I can finish it, will be my take on Kaleidoscape. I think I'm going to do like creating a thumbnail for a YouTube video is always interesting. But if you remember, there's a meme and it shows like a couple, a guy and a lady, and they're walking away from you and they're holding hands. And the guy is looking back over his shoulder and he's got this look like, ooh, and his girlfriend holding his hands, looking at him like, and then it's a very cute old lady, walking past him. So it's kind of like he was with his girlfriend, is checking out this other woman. Well, I'm going to change it to be like me looking over, and the cute girl is the Kaleidoscape, and then the girlfriend is like Plex. Sorry, Plex. So I think, but that's how I feel. I mean, Kaleidoscape. I got my first one. I don't know, 3 months or 4 months ago or something like that, and it's changed my world. I mean, I don't want to watch content on anything but that. Right? Just download it. I pay my money and I get my movies, and they come and I watch them in the best possible quality. So I'm blown away. Now I am doing the Zapiti review coming up soon too. And I like that. I love that unit. I mean, the Zapiti is freaking awesome. Especially if you're using it in a projector environment, because, they're not doing Dolby Vision yet. And so in a television world, it's kind of a challenge with Zapiti, but in the projector world, it's good for playing those files. Anyway, so that's kind of upcoming content.
Hey, can I just interject real quick?
Dude, please.
On the Zapiti, one of the features that they have that I think is really neat, and I guess you've experienced this, is the way that the audio track plays while you're going through the movie selections. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It really kind of sets, for those of you that don't know, the first, there's some sort of 30-second segment of usually the theme song for the movie, or some famous kind of soundtrack part of the movie that plays. So as you go through your movie posters and highlight each one, you get that clip, and it really kind of sets that that tone and that feel, and kind of gets you in the mood. Like, oh yeah, let's watch this. So
it's really cool.
It's a unique feature, I believe, and so that's one of the things about that device that I find pretty neat.
So do you use the silver UI? Do you know what I'm talking about? Because you could. Yeah. Do you like? I like the silver so much better. Yeah,
it's much better. I don't know why it's not the default.
I think because they can make $5 or whatever. That's my guess. They're like, we'll offer one that's okay, but if you want the really good one, give us $10.
Yeah, it's a pretty big difference.
which is cool. I'm like, take my money.
Yeah, and the Kaleidoscape's a great device too. I mean, we have a lot of customers that are using that as well. So it's an awesome device. I'm looking forward to your review. I got to check that out now.
Oh yeah, I'm filming. Well, I'm still working on both of them right now. So Friday's coming fast, and I'm not done yet. So we'll see if I make it. I'm actually spinning up to do a bunch of reviews of 5.1 systems on the speaker side of the house. So I've got an Atlantic Technology system. I've got a Triangle system. I've got a Purion audio system, and I'm going to do reviews of all of those. And I'm going to probably pick up a Klipsch system too and some other stuff, just so people can kind of understand from my point of view, at least. And all this stuff is subjective on the speaker side, right? You know what, they're kind of getting with the differences in the cost and the equipment. So a lot of that stuff's coming too. And I've been doing a lot of unboxing videos, and that's kind of eating up my time. And I haven't decided if the pure unboxing videos that I do are worth it or not, because I'm not really doing any review. I'm just like, hey man, watch this. I'm gonna take it out of the box. Some people like it, and other people are like, there's no information. So I'm trying to figure out if I'm doing the right thing or not. Maybe, I don't know. But yes, Kaleidoscape is a PD coming up. How much do Kaleidoscape movies cost? They're about the same thing as a disc. So $30. I just bought all the Star Wars stuff for $9 each today. And that's in 4K HDR, Atmos, the whole deal. So yeah, I mean, it's just stomping all over disc cost right now. It's pretty amazing. So I think that's it, guys. Anything else that we should talk about before we go? I think we've reached the end.
Reached the end of part 1.
Yes.
Right. That's right. Part 1. The sequel will be coming up. So, guys, Rick and Howard, thank you so much for your time. The most valuable thing in the world is time. And when somebody will take a few minutes and come spend it on the show with me, that is the greatest gift that you can give to me. And then I pass that through to everyone else. So thank you so much. I am extremely impressed with your product, and I strongly recommend that everybody get out and take a look at it. And I'm so looking forward to Cedia, so I can kind of get my eyeballs there and report back to everyone on exactly what I'm seeing. So I'm really excited for that. And for all the viewers, the same to you guys. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If you liked it at all,
we really
subscribe.
Appreciate you having us.
Oh, absolutely. And so with that, folks, we're going to call it a show. Thank you so much. Everyone. Yep. And as I always say, I'll see you guys in the next video.